Oh, welcome back to another video. Got that school pride. Welcome to me ranking my second semester courses. We got 4 courses this semester. We got Text and Ideas, Antiquity and the Enlightenment, Business and Society, Data Structures and Decision Models, and Analytics. I'm pretty sure I've talked about these classes a whole bunch in my previous videos. I'll basically be talking about the pros and cons of these classes and basically saying why they rock or why they suck. So the first class is Text and Ideas, Antiquity and the Enlightenment. Basically, that's like a subtitle. Antiquity and the Enlightenment is like a subgenre, a subtopic of Text and Ideas, which is like a philosophical and social studies kind of class. To be honest, didn't really enjoy it because I didn't find it much interesting. As I said, it's biblical, it's philosophical, it's historical, and it's very not in my interest. Professor was not bad. Participation wasn't even mandatory. You didn't even have to come to the lectures. I did, obviously, because I mean, there's nothing else to do in that time. I think this was like the most university lecture a university lecture online could get. It was just talking and talking and talking, which I guess is all university lectures when they're in person, but it was the first time I've experienced something like this online, so it really kind of threw me off guard because the other professors I had, they were, I don't know, a bit more engaging. The professor though, very interesting professor, because at the start of the semester he gave us an offer. He's like, okay, if by the end of the semester you don't find this class any interesting, or if you don't find this course helpful, you can send me an email saying that and I'll like refund you your whole tuition. And obviously all students, we thought it was a joke. I don't really know if he was joking, but he said he got some emails, but I never sent an email because that just, I don't know, man. It was just not my style of a course. I just did not like that course. I don't even know how, but I got the highest grade in this class out of the 4, so I guess it's a huge success. But overall, not very interesting. I don't really find it useful, except I got to, you know, understand a bit more of the Bible, which I've never read before. But other than that, it's not really useful. I guess in terms of difficulty, was it hard? I mean, there was a lot to read. There were some essays to write. There were 2 essays to write. There was a midterm and a final. Now, if I had to take the final, it would have been hard, but I didn't take the final. I only took the midterm. So I would say that this class had like medium difficulty. So all in all, not bad. Not really engaging, but it was a pretty easy, good A. So yeah, I would recommend Text and Ideas and the, what is it? Antiquity and the Enlightenment. I'm forgetting the class name already. Wow. And next up we have Business and Society. Oh boy, we have some stuff to talk about in this class. It's an English class. We read articles about business. We had to identify a social problem related to business, and then we had to propose a solution to it. And we had to write 3 essays about that. So I don't really find it interesting. I don't really think the class was that interesting. Professor was pretty salty with grading. I mean, apparently this guy does not have a bad rate my professor's grade. He has a high 3 point something, like 3.8 or 3.9. He may have been at a 4 at some point, but I'm not really sure. I don't really know how he does not have a bad grade, because he was pretty salty with grading. Why do I think he's salty with grading? Professors need to fill out a rubric, tell us what we did wrong in certain areas, what we did right in certain areas, and give them a grade. Like, oh, this portion was very good, this was very good, and this was adequate, this was satisfactory, this was good, and all in all, you count them all together and give a final grade. This professor does not do that. What he does instead is that he gives you a final grade first, and then just gives all sorts of bullshit in the rubric. And why do I know this? Well, here's why. I tried a pretty straightforward essay, right? About identifying a social business problem. Obviously, there's nothing much hard about that. I just need to explain a lot of things. In the rubric, he says, well, I use too much jargon, 2 fancy words, and I'm sifting through my essay. I'm like, there's no jargon here. For every part of the rubric, every component, he gave me basically the rubric's out of 4 points. He gave me like 2 for everything. And I said, well, I didn't use any jargon. Why did I only get a 2 when I should be getting a 4 in this? And he doesn't want to admit his mistake. He just says, okay, well, I can change this to a 4, but that's not going to affect your final grade. I'm just like, bro, the whole purpose of a rubric is to give a final grade based on the rubric. And this guy is like, nah, it's not gonna change your final grade. Whatever I do to your rubric, it's not gonna change your final grade. Why does he even make a rubric? Just to, I don't know, make us pleased that we just have a rubric in our hands? And another thing is that he kind of messed up my citations. Like, he thought I miscited a source. I'm like, no bro, you saw it wrong. I clearly listed the source here, and he admitted his mistake, but he's like, nah, this is still not gonna increase your grade. I'm like, okay, screw this guy. I would not definitely give him a 3 or 4 on Rate My Professors. Definitely not. Let's talk about engagement though. It was not engaging, because how engaging can complex articles about business and society really be? They're talking about some sort of models and shareholder theories and stuff like that. Kind of got lost in the first week, and I kind of never really really recovered from that. Difficulty-wise, it wasn't that difficult, except that the professor was pretty salty, and whatever essay I would write, I don't think I ever satisfied him. I don't know what I got for my final essay, which I think I did the best, but I never got a grade for it, so screw that as well. Usefulness, do I think it's useful? Maybe, but I don't really think so. Maybe it helped me think about business in some sort of way, but all in all, I really don't think it helped me. Really, business and society is like way down there on the scale. And next up, we have data structures. Okay, data structures was like a computer science class. It wasn't even at Stern. Like, I'm in NYU Stern, right? Which is a school for business. This is not a business course, so I had to take this in CAS. Professor, I don't think she wasn't bad at all. But the thing is, like, she doesn't necessarily have a high grade on Rate My Professors either. So I'm like, why does she not have a high Rate My Professors grade? Like, I read some of the comments on her Rate My Professors. Some people talk about her attitude. Some people talk about how she's like outright rude. I don't think I really noticed that, so I don't have much to say. But if I were to give her a grade, I would probably give her like a 4. She just taught us the stuff that we need to know. She actually explained and answered questions very thoroughly. Like, if we were curious about anything, she would take her time to explain that. We also had this discussion forum where we would post questions. She sometimes came on and answered them too. So I don't really think she was much of a problem. The class was pretty engaging because it's Java, right? Java coding. I knew some of Java, so I kind of found the class a bit more interesting and useful because computer science is like the future of the world. Difficulty-wise, so there were a lot of Java concepts that I did not know beforehand. So that was a pretty big thing, except the professor explained it pretty well, so I don't think I really found it difficult. The only difficult part was actually the tests, which would screw me over. The final test really screwed me over. If I got a high grade for that test, I would have gotten an A, but I didn't do such a good job, so I ended up being at the verge between A- and a B+, but I ended up getting an A-, thank God for that. There are times when you think you know everything, all sorts of content, and the test somehow screws you over, or you make some stupid little mistake that costs your grade. Overall, it was a pretty good course. Oh, and the last class we are gonna rank is decision models and analytics. So decision models is kind of like statistics. How else can I explain it? Basically, it has to do a lot with Excel, and basically what we have to do is that we have to optimize problems. A very simple version of a problem would be this. A company can produce product A or product B. Product A earns like $50 per unit. Product B earns $30 per unit. And they take 5 or 3 hours to make. What would be the best allocation of resources and time to maximize profit or something like that? It's always maximizing or minimizing something. And we have to do this with Excel. There's a problem solving program on Excel where we have to run programs with. The only reason why I took it was that it was one of the very few courses that met my schedule, one of the only few courses where I had a prerequisite, which was statistics, by the way, and I could use this class for the future. If I wanted to do a certain track, or if I wanted to pursue a certain concentration, this class would be applied to most of the tracks and concentrations I'd be interested in, which is why I just took it. I thought, oh, this would be very interesting. It would be helpful for the future when I don't have to take it in the future. I could just get it over with right now so that in the future, when I need to pursue this certain track or concentration, I already have the prerequisites done. I think in hindsight, it was a very challenging course, but I still managed to do a good job about it because I ended the course with an A-, right? But that was not a bad job. I was competing with mostly upperclassmen. The class was usually for upperclassmen because we were covering concepts that I had never heard of. Net present value, some days we were talking about arbitrage, and I learned very recently that these topics are covered after you learn accounting or something like that, and I did not know accounting at this point. So basically, for the past semester, I was just struggling to understand and comprehend these financial and accounting concepts that I had never heard of in my life. Like NPV, all I knew what to do was plug them in the equation and get it. I just did not know what I was doing with my stuff. Professor wasn't bad at all. Just ranking all 4 professors I had, I think he was the best professor. I think the most neutral. He was very good at explaining, very calm. In terms of usefulness, I think this class was very useful because in terms of minimizing or maximizing stuff like that, I think it's a very good class to take for personal life, and I think it's very applicable to personal life, which is why I think it's pretty useful. In terms of difficulty, yeah, it was pretty difficult because some concepts really just would blow my mind, and finals and the midterm exams were hard. I mean, every time, like the midterm and the final, I thought I'd do a terrible job, but I never ended up actually doing a terrible job. And the midterm was exceptional. I got a great score. Out of question, out of my mind, I got a great score. Final, I got over average, and I don't even know how. I thought they were difficult, but apparently not. So yeah, even though I thought they were difficult, my grade says otherwise, so I don't really know what to say about difficulty in that case. Engagement, So the professor was good at teaching, but it wasn't really that engaging? I think the engaging part comes from the complexity of the questions. Like some questions I'd be like, wow, this is a very good question. How would I solve it with Excel? I would have no idea of how to solve it. But the professor goes and just does his stuff, which would just blow my mind certain times because of, well, I've never seen any of this being done on Excel before. Like, how is this even possible? So I think most of the engagement comes from the mind-blowingness of the class. Oh, and there we have it. Those were the 4 courses, and ranking them in order. What would I say? I really thought I'd never say this, but I would place decision models as like first or second, because I mean, I didn't get a bad grade, right? And the professor was nice. It was pretty engaging. I would probably put it at first, honestly. And then data structures, and then text and ideas, and then English dead last, because the professor was so salty with grading. I don't even want to experience something like that again. Never again. Yeah, but thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to catch more of these NYU videos. And I'll be catching you in other videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.